On this month's edition of the FIFA World Cup Magazine, we learn about Volgograd's history. We sit down for a chat with Zenit's Ecuadorian midfielder Christian Noboa. And we discuss the USSR's 1977 Youth World Championship success with Valery Petrakov. But we begin at the FIFA Interactive World Cup in London. Held over 3 days, the tournament featured 32 of the world's best players, all vying for the coveted title of FIFA World Champion. Russia's sole qualifier for the competition was Andrei Guriev. Known as Timon, the 19-year-old hails from Nizhny Novgorod, and his performances this year have seen him firmly establish himself at the forefront of esports in Russia.
I think everyone's played on PlayStations or PCs when they were younger. I used to play with my brother years ago. At some point I realized I was better than he was and decided I wanted more challenges. After doing some research, I discovered some websites where I could play online against various opponents. From there, I started playing online international tournaments. In Russia, esports is not yet as popular as in countries like France. It's pretty big over there, and they host regular club tournaments. We're not on the same level yet, but we're getting there.
Since 2015, esports popularity has almost tripled, and its global revenue is set to pass $1 billion by 2018. With this growth in mind, a number of the biggest clubs in world football have started their own esports teams, signing players to represent them in tournaments across the globe. In February, Timon joined other players in turning professional, signing a deal with Moscow giant CSKA.
It's difficult to say what it means to be a professional. For me, video gaming is my hobby, my passion. I just have the opportunity to do the thing I love for a living. The main difference now is how I prepare. Before I turned professional, when I took part in tournaments, I wasn't particularly bothered about training or preparing prior to the competition. I took things very casually. Things are very different now. Prior to a tournament, I start preparing 2 weeks beforehand, playing 5 to 6 hours a day. Esports is a lot like chess. It's that kind of sport. It's not about the physical, but rather a player's mental abilities. You have to really concentrate, always be thinking, and completely involve yourself in the process. You have to be tough mentally.
Spencer Ealing, aka Gorilla, won this year's FIFA Interactive World Cup Grand Final to bring the curtain down on a successful tournament. For Timon, his competition may have ended at the quarter-final stage, but it was still an impressive debut, one that could be a sign of things to come from the talented Russian.
I probably don't think about the future too much. I try to take everything step by step. In the short term, I'd like to work on my online presence in terms of a YouTube and Twitch channel. I know a lot of fans are very interested in this, especially now I'm known among the FIFA players. I certainly won't forget about my playing career. Winning titles like the World Cup is important to me. It's a dream, and one that I am aspiring to achieve.
This is my home. It is where I was born. I'm proud of the role it played in the history of our country.
Volgograd is the city I was born and raised in. It's the city my grandparents consciously chose to move to. They wanted to be here because it's a city of heroes.
Formerly known as Stalingrad, Volgograd is a city whose history resonates with its residents. One of the main centres for trade and industry in southern Russia, it played a decisive role in the Second World War, and many of its landmarks and museums commemorate this.
Any visitor to our city should visit the Panoramic Museum. It's a very interesting place. There are approximately 4,000 unique and authentic exhibits from the Battle of Stalingrad, where visitors can truly immerse themselves in Volgograd's past. One of the museum's highlights is the panoramic painting on the top floor. It's the largest in Russia and depicts the Battle of Stalingrad.
One of Volgograd's main attractions is the 85-metre-high Motherland Call statue overlooking the city from the top of Mamayev Kurgan. Modelled on the look of a local resident, the statue's design was inspired by the ancient Greek sculpture, the Winged Victory of Samothrace.
The statue was created to remember the heroes of Stalingrad. It was unveiled on the 15th of October 1967, and this year is the 50th anniversary of its opening. The design of it depicts the motherland calling her sons forward to defend the nation.
Together with the hill, Mamayev Kurgan, the motherland statue is the main symbol of our city. It's a site that every tourist wants to visit in Volgograd. It's recognizable worldwide.
A host city for 4 matches at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, Volgograd's landmarks will no doubt prove popular with visiting fans as they learn about what defines this historic city.
A lot of people we interact with at the Panoramic Museum are tourists from the far corners of Russia and the world. They all say it's always been their dream to visit Volgograd and see its history.
Volgograd has many stories. It truly is the city of heroes.
My love for Lokomotiv Nizhny Novgorod came through my interest in the national team and the matches I saw at Euro 96. Why Lokomotiv? There were no other teams in town at the time. My passion for collecting memorabilia began after I went to my first football game. It was a match between Lokomotiv and FC Rostelmash. In memory of that experience, I kept the match programme, and my interest in football remains to this day. Over the years, slowly and patiently, I've been collecting items such as scarves and programmes from different cities and countries, mainly related to Lokomotiv and other clubs. To compare the two collections is difficult because programmes are very niche, and I only collect ones related to certain clubs. They are a historical thing. You can see who was in the team, who Lokomotiv played, because as time goes by, cities and teams are being renamed. It's interesting to see where and who my team played. One programme I would like to find is from a match in Ulyanovsk in 2004. They were given away free before the game. But unfortunately, it rained on that day, and most of the fans used the programmes to wipe their seats. It's a very difficult programme to find. When it comes to scarves, they are easier to collect. Friends can bring them for me from around the world, or I can get them when I travel. I got my first scarf in 1997. It was for Spartak Moscow. A former schoolmate bought it for me. They had moved to Moscow and they supported Spartak. I've never counted the amount of cities I visited collecting football memorabilia. It's probably around 50, if not more. Over the years, there have been offers for parts of my collection, including certain scarves and programs. But for now, everything remains. Nothing is for sale. My name is Yevgeny Shuklin. I'm from Nizhny Novgorod, and I've been collecting football memorabilia for over 20 years.
I started playing football at the age of 8. I said to my father, I want to be a footballer. I always dreamt of it. When I was young, I didn't know anything about European football. Now switch on the television and it's there. The first time I was called up by Ecuador, we traveled to Spain. This was my first trip to Europe. When I got there, I met the coach that I recently worked with at Rostov. He came up to me and said, "Look, I've seen you play. I like your game. I want you to be in my team. I've been coaching in Russia for many years, and I know your current contract is expiring. I have a team for you to join, Rubin Kazan." I didn't think twice.
For the last 10 years, midfielder Christian Noboa has traversed the European path to success, a path that has taken him to the pinnacle of Russian football and beyond. In 2007, his move from Emelec, Ecuador's most successful club, to Rubin Kazan was not only a surprise to his peers, but a culture shock for the player himself.
It was tough, really tough. When I arrived in Russia for the first time, I thought, oh, it's cold. I couldn't imagine how cold it could be. I thought, where on earth am I? Back home it was 33 degrees, so cold for me was 18 degrees in Quito. When I arrived here, it was minus 25, and I was wearing a thin jumper. When I got off the plane, I was completely frozen and said, what is this? I ended up with pneumonia for a week. That will stay with me for the rest of my life, the memory of spending my first week in Russia ill.
Once acclimatized to the weather, Noboa was an instant hit in Kazan, winning 2 Russian Premier League titles in his first 3 seasons at the club. In 2012, he moved to Moscow to play for Dinamo, before a short spell in Greece with PAOK, before returning to Russia to join FC Rostov. He now has a new challenge after a summer move to Zenit St. Petersburg, another city and another test for the resilient Ecuadorian.
When I left Ecuador for Russia, people said, he'll be there for 6 months and he'll come back. He isn't going to play. He's going to be in and out of the team. In my mind, I was very focused on being a success and making a name for myself in Russia. So when we achieved our goal of winning the league, it was a unique feeling. I've done it without anyone's help, without anyone thinking I could be the player I am today. Nobody gave me a chance, except my family and friends. Thinking back to how I used to be regarded, to how I am today, is a special feeling, because I can say I did it. Before I left Ecuador, I didn't play all the time. I didn't play at a level that made people consider me as a future member of the national team. Whenever I put that kit on, I feel like it's my first time all over again.
Since his debut in 2006, Noboa has amassed over 70 caps for his country, becoming a key player for Los Amarillos. The heartbeat of the team, he started all 3 of Ecuador's games at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil.
Nothing else can quite compare to playing in a World Cup. I've played in the Champions League, the Europa League, but they are very different. When you play for the national team, the whole world is watching, from the smallest to the very biggest countries. When you walk out and hear the noise, it's hard to describe. I can't tell you, you feel this and you feel that. It's a unique feeling only a footballer out on that pitch can really know. I got to play at a World Cup. It's an achievement that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
This season will be a pivotal one for Noboa. In the short term, he's aiming to add to his medal collection with Zenit, while also helping Ecuador qualify for their 4th FIFA World Cup finals.
There are no weak teams in South American qualifying. This is the final stage, everything is at stake and we have to win. My aim is to qualify. Playing at a World Cup here in Russia would really be a dream come true.
The furthest north host city, St. Petersburg, annually welcomes an estimated 7 million visitors, all looking to breathe in everything the Venice of the North has to offer. A city of majestic architecture, high artistic culture and historical significance, it's also a major centre for the sport of parkour in Russia.
I am Nikita Verzhinin.
I'm Timur Ivanov. We represent parkour in St. Petersburg.
A lot of people are involved in parkour now in the city. It's become more popular. People find it exciting and spectacular. For me, performing tricks and stunts is a thrill.
I've been practicing parkour for 4 years now. It's my main hobby outside of my studies. I enjoy perfecting the most complex stunts and combinations.
Come on, check out our city.
This old building is a favorite parkour spot.
I love it. There are so many places to practice our craft and technique.
Every athlete who's trained in parkour has been here. This place is part of the history of parkour in our city. We're now at the foot of the Palace Bridge. This is a very beautiful place and its architecture is just perfect to me. There's also a great view of the Peter and Paul Fortress and the Neva River itself, surrounded by stunning buildings.
This is St. Petersburg's 300th anniversary park, one of the largest parks in the city. It has a beach, fountains and lots of other sights. It's a wonderful place to spend time with family and friends. Personally, I love this park because it allows my creativity to flourish.
This is the Central Park on Krestovsky Island. It's a popular spot for leisure lovers and we are no exception.
Besides relaxing in the park, people can enjoy amazing attractions, including the theme park, all of which is right next to the new stadium.
That was St. Petersburg, the cultural capital of Russia. We've showed you some cool places and spaces. Hope you enjoyed them.
It's always a prestigious honor for any player, either Russian or Soviet, to represent the national team. We were a good team with some talented players. We were very young, but we were very focused. We wanted to show how good we were.
These days, Valery Petrakov is head coach of Tom Tomsk. 40 years ago, he was part of the Soviet Union team that was preparing for the inaugural FIFA Youth World Championship in Tunisia.
Before the tournament, Vyacheslav Ivanovich Koloskov, the main representative for the football union, told us that we were the face of the country. It was the first championship, and we had to perform to a certain standard. A key part in any success a team has is thanks to the leaders in the squad. In today's game, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are examples of these types of players. In our case, We had two such leaders. The first was Vladimir Besanov, who was a special talent with the ball. The other was our captain, Andrei Bal, the team's leader both on and off the pitch. Back then, even though we were all only 18 or 19 years old, he possessed great leadership qualities.
Thanks to goals from Petrakov himself and the creativity of Besanov, the Soviets topped their group before defeating Uruguay in the semis en route to the final. Played at the Stade El Manzar in Tunis, the match against Mexico went to penalties.
We had our trump cards for every eventuality. If the result was going in our favour, then the team's setup would remain. But if it went to penalties, which it did, then we would use our substitutes and bring on our reserve goalkeeper, Yuri Sivuka. He was incredible in goal. He had amazing reactions and made a huge difference. At the time, we didn't think about any royalties or things like that, because they didn't exist. We were happy. All we were focused on was feeling proud that we'd achieved such a great result for our country. That was the main thing. What we didn't know at the time was that the match was being broadcast live in the Soviet Union. Maybe they thought it would make us even more nervous if they told us. We only learnt about it after we got back to Moscow. People would come up to us and tell us they'd watched it.
Following that triumph, Petrakov helped the Soviet Union win the 1980 Youth European Championship before hanging up his boots in 1992. Today he's in his third spell in charge of Tomsk. While his goal is to help the Siberian outfit return to the Premier League, he still keeps an eye on the fortunes of the national team.
I think we've lost a little in the development of football since I played. In Soviet times, our development program was very strong. We had wonderful football schools. We focused on training younger players, and there was a strong sense of competition. I think the political situation during the 1990s meant we lost our golden years. Many people forgot about sport and football. Next year's World Cup is timely for Russian football. I think it will provide the impetus, not only for the development of infrastructure, new stadiums, but also for the rebirth of Russian football on the pitch. I hope it kickstarts the comeback of our football to where it used to be.